everyone! Last week I ended the episode telling you that a few parts were missing from this thing, brains, belt and a few other things, and the belt just arrived, so I will start by installing this on this. And the first thing that we need to do to put the belt on this thing is to install these two clamps that will go in here and in here. And for that we have here two M4 bolts and two M4 very small nuts. One clamp in here with one bolt and another one in here. And of course in the other side there are two embedded holes for the nuts. And now I just need to run the belt from this clamp through the motor to the other side to the bearing pulley and back to the other clamp. Clamp it on one side, run it through the motor pulley, across the table, run it through the bearing pulley, be sure that everything is in place and fasten the other clamp. Everything seems aligned and in place, so cut the belt. I think it is tensioned enough. Now I will check when it goes to this side. It is more or less to the appropriate length and height. I could lower a bit this or raise this a bit, but that's more than enough. And in the other side, more or less the same. Maybe it's a bit high, but that's not that important. Next step, the servo on the carriage. This is the mount for the servo, and this is the servo. So this should go, and notice that here there is a hole where I can pass through the wire to the other side, and this should go in here like this. So I will put 4 screws and 4 nuts. Done! And now the most important part of the entire project. Pom, 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 pom. This thing goes in here. So let me just check which one is the center position. So it should be somewhere around that. And I think I will have to reprint this part because the hole where the servo axle fits on the part is too large, and this can be the smallest part that I had never to reprint for a project, so not that bad. We are going to leave it like this so nothing breaks. This is the cable exit that I was talking about earlier. And now I need to solder a very long wire that will go through the cable chain to this so it can reach the brains of the thing. And for that I will be using this. So let's pass 3 strands of wire that are going to be red on red. This will have to be like this long, so I will cut it here. I will remove the black strand because I don't need more than 3 wires. I will cut the connector, peel the wires, put some heat shrink tubing, and later I will have to remember that I did red with red, blue with brown, and green with orange. Solder it, apply a little bit of heat. Nice! And now pass the wire through the cable chain. And this, if you have patience issues, trying to pass wires through cable chains is kind of your sport. And I will zip tie this part of the wire to this because it's never good that the solder joints go inside cable chains. They might break. Next, I will have to put an end stop below the motor that moves the carriage. That way I will be able to zero this axis when I switch on this thing. And there is plenty of space on this thing to put stuff in it, and it seems that I decided to put the end stop just in this tiny space in here. And that's why you have to model every single part in your 3D designs, because I didn't draw the belt and I didn't realize how close those two were. So, next step is to put some wires connected to this end stop. And on this one, this is the common pin, this is normally open, and this one is normally closed. So we are going to use the normally closed and the common pins. A little bit of heat and 2 micro screws to try and install this thing in here without it touching anything else. And as I think it's going to be impossible to bolt this in here, I will have to loosen the belt and remove this from here. Let's see how long this lasts. And with that end stop, I think all the hardware parts required for this project are in it. And now I have to do lots of wiring. I need to pass wires from the motors from this side to this side where the brain of the thing is going to be. I need to wire also the 2 motors on this side, the motor that moves the carriage, connect also the servo, the end stop, and that's a lot of wiring, and it's very difficult to make wiring fun. And I will be right back when things start moving on this thing. Yes, Ivan, very cool shots of you working on the electronics, making very fancy lines on the proto board, but the thing is that I had to discard this because I made very basic mistakes. I started a new one, and while I was doing this one, I realized that I could just use a ramps and a Teensy. The Teensy will have enough memory for what I need to do, instead of using an ESP8266, because I don't really need the Wi-Fi function, and the Mega will control the ramps, which will move the motors, the servo and everything, which is much more reasonable than what I was trying to do. So I will put this on this and start connecting stuff and see if it moves. I had one of these pre-made stepper cables that was wired wrong for one motor and right for the motor with which I did made the tests. So I had to rewire it for it to work, which destroys the benefit of a pre-made cable. But now it works. Let's try and move the carriage with this stepper in here a little bit faster. Let's try with 10 times faster. There it goes. Still pretty slow. I will try to do it even faster. That's much more like it. But let's try a bit faster. Too fast. Can you hear it? By the way, that was 10 microseconds per step. This goes a little bit faster. Let's try 70 microseconds between steps. This is just starting without any ramp up. Maximum acceleration from stop to speed. This will destroy your printer and probably your print will look really awful. I've just added a little bit of ramp up. Okay, this axis looks solid enough, so I will try to move now the wheels that go on the sides. For example, these ones in here. The only thing that I'm doing here is connect one side of the wire to the stepper and the other one to one of the ramp's stepper exits. I don't know if you can see it, but it moves. I think with the proper acceleration, this one is going to be, I hope, strong enough. This speed is even too fast for what I need this thing to do. This is more like it. So I know that I can move the carriage, I know that I can move the wheels, even knowing that I have to run a wire to move the motors that are on the other side through the inside of the tube. I hope that will work. The last thing that I need to test if it works is this servo in here. Wiring is super boring, wiring is super boring. And the servo moves. So now that this thing moves, servo moves, wheels move, carriage moves, I will try to organize all the wiring on this thing, attach the board to this, find a place for the battery, and I'll be right back. I'm making lots and lots of stuff that you are not seeing because it's really boring, because wiring is super boring but super necessary for this kind of projects. So I'll be RB. So I think I've wired everything, the 5 motors, the servo and the end stop. So I will try to move them all at once and see how that works. Sorry. Woo! Almost everything moves. These 2 wheels move, the carriage moves, the servo moves, but I think this wheel in here, which is connected to the E0 stepper driver, is not moving. I might have messed up this cable in here that I did myself, so I will take a look. I've completely rewired it and I will try now to see if it works. How many times do I try if anything works? Lots and lots of. But that's what things like this need, right? Trying and trying. Drum roll, please. Oh. Okay, these 2 wheels in here go that way, and these 2 wheels in here go this way. So I will. But now I need to decide. Do I want for this thing to go that way or this way? Does it matter? I think I will make it go this way because then it will be easier to record what that part is doing, right? Because you already know what this is for, right? Okay, so when I say forward, these 2 ones are connected to that. The direction is 0. I've done it wrong. Low and low and yes. Now the 4 wheels are moving this thing this way, and the last thing that I need to do is to home this thing with this end stop in here, which I will try now. Stop, 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 stop. Okay, everything was going according to plan, but the end stop did nothing. So because I on this another run which does nothing in here, I will check if 3. I think it should work now. Let me show you. Okay, it failed because it did the homing and then it tried to move the carriage past 0 instead of this way, but I think I've fixed it now. Look at that! Okay. Well, now that everything moves, more or less, I will have to finish the video in here because again, no more time this week. I know that this video has been a little bit boring and confusing, but please bear with me. This thing is going to be awesome when we do the test. So next week I will continue with the tank project because I know that many of you are waiting for that, but I needed enough time to print more and more and more parts. A few great projects and a few great news are coming up on the following weeks for this channel, and I hope that for all of us. So stay tuned for that. So that's it for this week. Smash that like button if you think that this thing is going to be awesome. Thanks a lot for sharing my videos, it helps a lot. Thanks a lot for your comments, I learn a lot from them, and I read all of them even if I don't have time to answer to you. Sorry about that. Thanks a lot for your Patreon support. Please consider supporting me on Patreon so I can keep doing things this wide. And now please go and make something. Wiring super boring, 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 wiring super boring, 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 wiring super boring, 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 wiring super boring, 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 wiring is super boring. Wiring is super boring, 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 wiring is super boring, 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 wiring is super boring, 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 super necessary.